Handoff, Kenny Caraway in the building.
I like that. I like having the flexibility. I like all that. That's what he's been preaching for since he got to Sacramento.
It's been his word, literally his word.
Absolutely. This is the last summer to have that flexibility. It's time to cash in on all that. If we're here next year and maybe they made the playoffs and all this other stuff, and we want to maintain our finance. No, bro, it's gone all bad. Hey, we're still trying to maintain our financial flexibility. So, this is the time to cash in.
Here's y'all, man. There's a chance though.
Here's my only way. Those are yours, by the way. Those shorts. That's all you. So the only way that I'm cool with this is if they're looking out at next year and where certain teams are going to be, and there's a player out there that they think their current war chest of assets, it's all NBA caliber player, and they're like, hey, we really think that next year with these assets, we can go get this player. So they don't want to give up a first or even two for Kyle Kuzma right now because they think, okay, he's a tier 3 player, but we think there's a tier 1 we can go get.
And that's fair.
And but to your point, up until next June, like, what do we got?
Yeah,
you got it. You got to win. First of all, you got to get it. I don't really care how it gets done, but if they had some deals that didn't work out, or they got too rich, right, or they didn't have the assets, right? Like I draw the line at Keegan Murray, right? Like if New Orleans is asking for Keegan, if Washington is asking for Keegan, and all this other stuff, yeah, you got to draw the line there. But anything outside of those 4 that we talk about, like I'm not worried about future contracts. I'm not worried about being on the first apron. None of that. This is it. This is the time. I feel this is the time to cash in on the flexibility that you have maintained for the last 3 years. Right. But maybe I'm wrong, but you can't just be having financial flexibility forever. At some point, you got to have some players that you're like, all right, we're locked into these guys, and this is what we're trying to do.
Well, through Monty's own words too, like the whole reason he wants flexibility is to be able to move when the time is right. I mean, those are the words. Like when he came to Sacramento, he did not bring or adopt the Sacramento mindset, which is, oh, this player's available. Oh, but we're the Kings, so we have no shot, so we're not even going to try. Like Monty came in with the belief that we're going to put ourselves in a position to where if some move becomes available to us, we'll pursue it and we'll explore it. And I think he's been consistent with that from the Zach LaVine situation, right? Zach LaVine doesn't really necessarily make sense in a lot of ways, financially or otherwise. But here's a player who is a star caliber player who might be available on the cheap because of circumstances. Okay, we've maintained flexibility to put ourselves in a position to consider this as an option. But like you said, you can only do that for so long. At some point, you have to strike, right? And I still think this Kings team believes that they are in a position to where they can play the long game. And I don't mean that's the right way to handle it, but they might look at this offseason and go, we can get away right now with just a Cam Johnson move or a Dorian Finney-Smith move, which would help improve the team, but is not going to cap them out on assets and money, and go, let's see where this goes, and then see what comes available at the trade deadline. My reaction to that is you've had 2 trade deadlines. You didn't do anything. So why should we trust that the third one you're going to do it? And I think a lot of fans kind of echo that. But I think what Monty wants to avoid is going all in now when you're still a long ways away from truly contending. Go all in. Now you're stuck. And now you have to probably move Keegan or move one of Fox and Sabonis just to get something different. Like that's if in the case of Zach LaVine, this is why I'm super hesitant on Zach LaVine. You go for LaVine, you bring him in. I think it could be exciting. Maybe it could work. If it doesn't, nobody's taking Zach LaVine's contract. You're stuck with it for the next 3 years. So now in order to financially get out from under that, to have flexibility to make some moves, Keegan's probably the guy you have to move in order to do that. And I don't think Monty and the Kings feel that they're in the right spot now to go all in and run that risk without feeling that they're in the same position the Knicks are in, one piece away from truly contending.
I'll real quick, Kyle, I'll put it to you and everybody else like this though. If you're in a, like I'm looking at the timeline and people might get upset for me saying this or feeling this way or whatever, and they may have different expectations. The must is the playoffs. Like you have to be there.
That's it.
Those are Monty's own words.
You have to be in the playoffs. And to your looking forward point, 3 straight years of the playoffs and maybe like a series win here and there and everything else like that, I actually think that's fine. And the only reason I say 3 years is because that's when Levine's money will come off the books.
Sure.
So I like 3 years. You've maybe gotten to the second round twice. It's not going to work with Levine. He off the books. You ain't got to move Keegan. You don't have to move him. Now you're looking at it like, all right, free agent wise, we got Levine's money's coming off the books. Who's going to elevate us to a championship? I think 3 years from now, 2 to 3 years from now, that's when they should be looking at what do we need to do to get to a championship.
Sure. I feel that
2 to 3 years.
The only hesitance
championship level.
Now we're talking about Sabonis and Fox in their 30s or getting to their 30s. Yeah. That's the only hesitancy but I hear exactly what you're saying. And I don't think like Vivek was upset that they missed the playoffs after making it 1 year. I think the Kings would be thrilled and Kings fans would be thrilled with knowing they have a perennial playoff team.
Yeah.
Start there. But Mike and De'Aaron, they're all the ones talking championship. So if that's the bar they're holding themselves to.
Well, and that's why I think that there's a middle ground. Jalen McDaniels is not going to cut it. God bless him.
Sorry, buddy.
Jalen McDaniels is not going to cut it. But I also don't think it needs to be Zach LaVine, Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, because we're just running through this. Starting 5 right now. Fox, Keon Murray, Barnes, Domas. Yeah. Monk off the bench, Lyles off the bench, Carter off the bench, and then Herter, Len, TBD, right? If you take out Kevin Herter from that, and you plug in Cam Johnson or Dorian Finney-Smith, and you can even plug them into the starting lineup for you if you want and bring Harrison Barnes off the bench. Now you're there. That to me is a playoff team. But
for sure.
But right now, when you just, it's like, dude, they are like one quality rotation player short for me from just being that's a top 6 team. So that's why I kind of land in the space. If I'm with you, if there's a big move to make, if the Clippers are like, yeah, we'll trade you Paul George, we love your assets. Here you go. Here's Paul George. Then great. Then go for it.
Now you're all in.
Right. But I don't think it necessarily has to be to get to that playoff level. If you're talking about championship contention in 2 to 3 years, then okay, then yeah, hold on to the assets. If Washington wants a couple of firsts, go get Dorian Finney-Smith and Cam Johnson instead and be cool with it.
You need I hear everything you're saying. I just think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's Kuzma, Cam Johnson, Finney-Smith is a little borderline, but
you're out on Dorian Finney-Smith?
Well, no, I like him, but what I'm about to say is my point is
sure.
You have to get a starter. You have to get a starter, a guy that is starting on every single team in the league. And that's why I say Finney-Smith, who I like. I don't know if he fits the category of starting on every single team in the league.
I agree.
I think Cam Johnson, it does fit that category.
I agree.
And I think that's what you need for this roster.
Yeah, I think if you can get them both, start one, have another one, your wing depth is so much better.
Now you're cooking.
I'm into that more than I'm into Kuzma. I'm not going to lie.
That is a fantastic compromise because you talk about a middle ground. Okay, let's go out and add something to the starting lineup, but you don't have to swing all in.
Yeah, I love Cam Johnson. And like you just said, if you can get Cam and Finney-Smith, now you cooking.
Yeah.
I think I like that more than Kuzma too. Because I love Kuzma.
Yeah,
that's my number one.
Kuzma guy.
But I mean, you're just adding to the roster, being able to get those two guys.
And so much of last year was you would watch the Kings play, and Anthony Slater brought this up the other day. You'd watch them play, and toward the end of the season, it's like, man, they just need more dudes. Like, God, they're not enough guys you trust on this team.
Yeah.
So or Jordy goes to Brooklyn, is about to lose all his dudes.
Damn.
Sorry, Jordy.
Well, JJ gets LeBron, so that's fair.
And Bronny.
Yeah.
What do you guys got coming up on D'Lo and Casey?
Man, a lot more King stuff. I don't know if you guys got into the Jake Fisher stuff, but there was something in his article that really stuck out to me. We're probably gonna dissect that a little bit, and we're gonna figure out what's going on with Monty now after he had to trade Davion.
Let's do it.
Can't wait. I'll be joining you guys at 12:15. That's Kenny Caraway. He's Matt George. Matt, thank you so much for hanging out.
A pleasure, guys.
You can catch Matt on ABC 10 as well as Locked on Kings. Locked on Kings, the podcast. Make sure to check them out there as well. Appreciate everybody. Have a great, safe, happy weekend. And we will be back on Monday. James Ham back on Monday as well. Until then, drink water and be nice to people.